Aloha, mother fathers. Welcome in another episode of the Side Hustle Podcast here on pretty much everything at this point. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, all the social medias, all the different audio versions too, all across the streaming land. And
I wonder how many people are listening to the audio versions of this show.
We don't ever really plug the
audio I wonder how many. I almost just want to discontinue the audio version of this. I think people tune in either the full show on video or do highlights on social media, on TikTok and others.
If they do listen to the show on like Apple, podcasts, whatever it is, that kind of thing, they would listen to it there. I think loading up all the audio on YouTube, I see you do that and I get like real sad because I was like, I don't know how long that takes to upload the audio for that. I don't know if it's quicker just because it's audio or what it is.
So we don't tape this live.
Yeah.
I almost thought about if we're really not, we are going to start doing interviews and stuff. We have one coming up next week, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But if we're just doing the show, there's really no editing. The problem, though, is when this is done, you have to normalize the levels. Then it has to process. Then it has to export to, from Premiere to YouTube. Then YouTube has to upload, and that takes a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then they have to do copyright checks. There's a ton of things that happen because it's taped. If it's live, the worst we have to do is cut out the 45 seconds of tape of you spending time fixing the lights here. That's it.
Yeah, me. Okay.
You.
Listen,
You.
Because
We have the tape. We have the tape.
Just because you have no working lights in your apartment right now because it's flooded doesn't mean you have
I have working lights. I don't have working room. I don't have... Matter of fact, we did the whole Fix It series. Should be Fix My Place. That should have been the first episode. The hell with AEW. Fix my apartment. Put some damn carpet down. Put something that works. Don't give me a pipe that leaks. It feels like I live at McDonald's in the hood where the milkshake machine's broke. Everything's broke at my place. I live in a freaking studio.
It's close.
I wanted a milkshake today, too. Guess what? Couldn't get it.
Before you do that, really quick, Pete, if you can, the one shot on me, just hey, let's fix this on YouTube right now. First episode is up. Double A mentioned it before he went on his tirade about his apartment. Fun episode.
You're like, why did I wear this shirt? What was the first shirt I was able to find?
He always overdresses for this.
It's television. It's a TV show.
I show up in a t-shirt or I think I wore a polo twice when we first started because it was coming from work when I was working at EDT. But now I'm in a t-shirt or I'm wearing just regular black pants, something like that, or shorts, and he rolls in. Oh, it's the first thing I could get my hands on.
It was.
Bullshit.
It was.
He plots
We're not
out
over there
outfits.
anymore. I mean, this is high price level television here.
Yeah. Here I am just trying to blend into the background.
This is the great scales. I mean, we have just look back at the last 3 episodes. We have additional lighting now. I mean,
Each episode something changes. You may not know what it is, but each episode something changes.
It's been...
Take a wild guess.
If you couldn't tell, it's been a week for the both of us. We will not get into particularly. I can at least get into my stuff because the one good thing about living in an apartment, they have an obligation to fix stuff.
Yeah.
So things are getting fixed. I'll tell you. So my bedroom leaked, the pipe on the 3rd floor. There was a leak. So I live on the 1st floor. So all the water went down to the 1st floor. The resident was aware of the leak and said nothing. So stuff soaked, whatever. And so between that, so they fixed the leak, but for a couple days, as a result, I have no hot water. So I'm back to boiling water, just to wash up and be respectable for my work from home job. Because you still need to be fresh while you log onto your computer in your living room space where you have this much room to move. So, yeah, between that and a few other things, it's been. You want to know what I saw too? That I was just like, what is going? I promise. By the way, we'll get to the wrestling. You want to know what I saw?
People are like, what is this podcast about again?
There's a ring. We talk professional wrestling. There we go.
Double A just likes to vent for the first 10 minutes of it. It's no big deal.
Can I show you something here? I saw Kid Carmen tweeted this. You see this donut? Who cuts a donut in half like this?
Oh, I just
Look
noticed
at
that.
this.
Wow.
Look at that.
That guy should be shot.
That guy should be taken out back. Or girl, whoever it is. When I say,
yeah, we're not
hey,
sexist
let's
here.
get half a donut. Let's cut the donut in half.
And
you don't do this.
And it's not like half, like with the frosting cut in half on both sides, so you have a full donut. It's literally,
Look at that.
it's like a bagel.
They got a bagel and said, "Hey, this is
Oh,
gonna
my
bring
bad.
the work environment together."
They were like, oh, you said one and a half. Oh, my bad, bro.
He's like, I don't like frosting.
Oh my God!
Look at this.
What in the actual Wild World of Sports
This is
is
an
that?
actual donut. This is not a bagel. They're not about to have a steak and get cheese muffin on this thing. That is a donut. Cut in half.
That is an everything bagel with sprinkles on it. What the hell?
What are we doing?
That's the only carbs donut right there. The one at the bottom. Don't touch the one at the top. Just the bread.
Oh.
Just the bread.
I don't want the sprinkles. I don't want the sprinkles. I don't want the frosting. I barely even want the glaze. I want a low carb donut. Cut in half.
You know, every day I wonder how society's going to let me down just a little bit more. Yeah. See picture behind me in Double A. Good God.
If you work with somebody like this, if you are family members with someone like this,
He's going there.
just pull them aside
Promptly slap him in the back of the head
and just
to knock that screw back into place.
ask why. Why? You ought to be sent to HR for doing something like this.
I'm more
If
pissed
your
that
company still has an HR department.
I'm more upset there isn't like a cottage, cheese spread on that bottom donut
Right,
or what. Like if you're gonna embrace the bagel donut, I mean, go all the way there at this point.
That's a good point.
Is it toasted?
Yeah.
Like I have questions. I don't know. Look,
Do you prefer pink or white or another color for your cream cheese on a bagel?
I don't eat bagels very much. I
I
can
know.
tell you.
I know.
If I do eat a bagel, yeah, usually like just cream cheese. Normal cream cheese is fine. If I even have cream cheese on it, sometimes I'll do something else.
Can you imagine if I would have handed this to you and didn't even tell you that it was a donut? You would have thought it was a bagel.
I would have took a bite and it would be like, why the fuck does this taste like a bottom of a donut? And then I'd see the box, realize they're all cut in half. Fucking serial killer doing this shit.
And then,
Which one you pick is the one who dies today.
And then how do you cut it? And then how do you cut it? So somebody's fingers is on the bottom of this donut. So how do you cut this?
They legit took the donut, turned it sideways, cut it in half like a fucking seesaw, and said, "Nyeh."
You think about these things.
No one ate it. There's a reason why it's still in there, by the way.
Right.
No one touched that shit.
You think about these things where you can only take like 5 steps of your apartment.
If
All
you-
right, let's.
If you see that, sorry, one last thing, then we'll move on. If you see this at like your company get together, the Double A said at the family gathering, someone, oh, I got donuts. You open it up, you see that shit, fucking run. Get out of there.
I thought
Someone's
about,
dying today. Like someone's, yeah.
I thought about, and everyone here, Pete, I thought about as a bit buying a dozen donuts,
Cutting them
not
in
even
half.
explaining this. And
Oh my God.
I thought about
I would have been petrified. And like a lot of people watch the show, so I want to make sure that we still do one. But afterwards, I'm not talking to you, no eye contact. I'm fucking gone, dude. Like, just go.
Pete, would you eat this?
I'd have to move. Like,
I don't even know if Pete would eat this.
No, I don't. No. Although now I'm tempted to do that at work.
Oh, God. Don't be that guy. Because you're going to catch the wrong person that's going to go into self-defense mode. They have like little triggers in the back of their head. Okay, if they come in with a trench coat, if they cut their donuts in half, you're going to see that, and it's going to be the end of the fucking world, man.
I am begging our little AI program who cuts up our and Kyle puts the finishing touches on it. Please, I'm begging for this to end up on TikTok. I want to see who does this. Who in TikTok land and social media land allows this to happen?
I'll make sure I save that for a primetime spot if it gets on there, so that way a lot of people see it.
Okay.
We have a trend of when things are really blowing up on TikTok, so I'll make sure I kind of time that out pretty well. This is fucking crazy. Cut their donut in half, psychopath. Anyway, let's talk wrestling.
We do love donuts, period, but even police officers wouldn't do that.
I like a good glazed donut, just a basic glazed donut, but not cut in fucking half.
You don't cut it
No,
in half.
it's not a fucking bagel.
All right.
God damn it.
Let's lead off with the King of the Ring, and also Queen of the Ring too. So we are down, and I'm gonna scoot over to my left. Your right here. That's Tonga down there at the bottom. But
Yeah. The arm of the chair is blocking off his forehead, but it's fine. We know who
yeah,
it is.
yeah. So we're down to the final two on the Raw side of the bracket. That's Jey Uso, in case you didn't know which Uso we're talking about here. And then on Friday, we have the semifinal matches with Hayes and Randy Orton. One in LA Knight and Tonga on the other side there. First off, do you like his music?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fucking sick. They just keep hitting home runs with that dude. I'm waiting for it to. I think his match style is throwing people off a little bit because it's very just kind of frantic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like the way he actually wrestles a match, because we finally got to see him on TV wrestle a full match in the first round. They kind of missed his finisher, like the jumping flatliner is actually pretty good. You can hit that on everybody. It's one of the things I look at when I look at a guy who maybe isn't the biggest dude.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, your finishing move, the one that's supposed to take people out, can you do it to like everyone? Like guys that are tiny that pick people up, like on their shoulders to do finishers. It's like, okay, yeah, I can buy that for that, like in certain divisions, but are you going to pick up like a full 300-pound dude?
Right.
Like, I enjoy seeing that for the realism of it. Yeah, jumping face, flatliner is cool. Guys got to sell it better, but I mean that's neither here nor there.
And they'll learn how to do that.
Yeah,
too.
over time.
They'll
He
learn how
hasn't
to do
been
that.
there. Yeah, he hasn't worked with some of these guys. So I mean, it's all relative at this point. Luckily, he's going to be in the ring with someone who sells pretty well with LA Knight. So I mean, there's a bonus with that. I mean, built up great.
I'm just gonna say overall that this King of the Ring, just as a concept, probably the best we have seen in probably decades.
The matches are insane.
The matches are great. The stories are great. How much they're prioritizing the tournament and how it fits within the shows have been phenomenal. And in the past, maybe the one, I know why they have to do it, but the one criticism I have, like when they reference like previous King and Queen of the Ring winners that's on the main roster right now, I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, this tournament this year is leaps and bounds ahead of like even when Xavier Woods won it in the past.
I didn't pay attention to that one.
Zelina, like they mentioned, like she was a previous winner. She was, but
They both got hurt and couldn't be in this one.
number one, they both got hurt. But I was just thinking, I'm like, those tournaments then, and I know they were recent, but it didn't seem like it mattered. These tournaments this year, they have placed a great emphasis on it, and it feels like whoever wins this tournament
It's important.
is very important
Yeah.
to even not just win, even just to make the final on the pay-per-view, but also to win the whole thing. I look at the 6 who are left in the men's tournament, and you could do a little ranking, obviously, of who's more likely to win, who is not likely to win. But out of the 6, you could probably make a strong case, I would say, for 3 or 4 of these guys you can make a case for 3 to 4 guys that's left to win the whole tournament.
I mean, there's a way where all of them could do it, but I mean, yeah. I think the difference too is that it's something that I've hated in the past, but like because they stacked it up so well this time around, having a Styles and Orton in the first round
Mm-hmm.
is like, well, fuck me. Like, okay, like two guys that probably should be like in the finals, or at least the finals on SmackDown, are facing. It kind of adds more, layers to it a little bit. On the Raw side, having Jay and Ilya as a semifinal match,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, shit. And I think they didn't want to jump on the Ilya Gunther thing yet.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, and you saw the little tease there when
Yeah.
Gunther came out, and it's like,
Yeah.
and he even tweeted it today. He was like, not yet, not yet.
I wouldn't be
something to that
surprised if
effect.
like Ilya just like now goes on a losing streak. They built him up. He had a couple wins. Like, oh, nice. And then all of a sudden, you just can't seem to. He's always around Gunther.
Mm.
Can't seem to get to him. So he almost has to like join Imperium or something like that to kind of get on track. Maybe team with Kaiser a little bit begrudgingly. Those two together would be fun to watch. But
You kind of add something here. Do you think that's the right? You think that would be the right move to add him to Imperium
I
and
think-
kind of keep them? Because I think it's clear they're not going to face off at like Clash at the Castle.
no,
They're not going to. I don't think they should face off anytime soon. I think that match is there.
Berlin was when we thought that's the end of August. It's after SummerSlam.
Right. So I almost wonder if he should be the third guy at this moment and kind of let that stretch out, for about 8 to 9 months, and then there's your match if you could stretch it that far
You could build
at
a
WrestleMania.
You could build a story that has Gunther as World Heavyweight Champion and have that moment. The problem with Ilya is he's not over yet.
I wonder if that's the way to
Yeah.
work his way into getting over.
Being next to a guy who's over as
Mhm.
fuck and is one of the best workers in the world right
Mhm.
now, and people know it. Like, that kind of puts you even more on the radar. Will they do that? I don't think so. I think they should, but at the same point, I think they want to push him right now as like a upper mid card, can take main eventers to the limit. Not quite there yet, but could be like in the U.S. title hunt. That could be a guy that beats someone like a Bronson Reed or even like a Sammy at some point, whatever. I also think he'd be a much better heel, just because his entire persona, kind of like Cody,
Mm-hmm.
but before Cody opens his mouth,
Yeah.
just screams just evil fucking, I'm better than you. Here's my 3-piece suit. Go fuck yourself. Look at all this money I have.
But
Yeah.
I think for those reasons, though, I think him being an Imperium would actually kind of benefit
Yeah.
that type of row. I mean, but again,
If they embrace it.
I
Yeah.
understand right now they probably want to establish him as that, hardworking babyface. I hope they don't take the route of him going on a losing streak. But as we have seen for years in WWE, if you go on a losing streak and they acknowledge that you're on a losing streak, that usually leads to something. So maybe it would be a scenario where he, fell on tough times, didn't get the job done against Jey Uso, go on a little losing streak that might last for a few weeks, a month, and then, I got to pick, you got to
It
pick
could
yourself
even
up.
be on Raw on Monday.
Could be.
Maybe, well, it's probably going to be the main event, Gunther and Jay, I'd imagine. But, like, maybe even after the King of the Ring, whatever it is, if Gunther wins.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing where it's like, oh, you did very well, that kind of stuff. And, you seem a little lost.
Mm.
They can kind of tease that there. It keeps them all tied together. Because right now Ilya doesn't have a little direction, and they showed him on screen multiple times with Gunther. So we know it's going to happen at some point. And the cool thing is, it's kind of like the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn thing. They're always going to be tied together.
Could be, yeah.
So, I mean,
And they will.
and their matches, Sammy and Kevin get a lot of credit. If you haven't watched a Gunther Ilya match, holy shit.
And I got to do my homework because I have not yet. So
Dude.
I have to do my homework.
NXT was nuts.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Admittedly, you are more up on NXT developments over time than I am.
Yeah,
I think just in
It's-
general, just
general knowledge of bullshit, I should have no idea why I know it. Like, I don't watch NXT religiously. For some
Mhm.
reason, I just know what's going on.
but like
But-
like I honestly, I'll be like certain guys that move up. I purposely not, I guess not purposely. I just don't have the time. I do not watch NXT, not because it's not a good show. I mean it's a great show, and when I do see highlights, I love what I watch. But there's only so much wrestling.
Yeah.
That you can watch. That might change too, though, when NXT moves to CW. Let me get back on track here. On the Raw side, though, who should make the final? Because I think, again, you could make. We talk about like 3-4 guys you can make a case for. 2 of the favorites is in the Raw final.
Either one. I mean,
you can make a case for either one.
Jay is like stupid over right now. And they just haven't pulled the trigger on anything. You almost wonder if maybe Ilya cost Gunther. Is that how we get to some sort of match? Does Giovanni Vinci somehow decide to break the fourth wall of the draft and show up on?
And he's been off television since
he
breakup.
since he got his ass beat by Ludwig. Yeah. So I mean, I don't. I mean, the common sense pick is obviously Gunther, just because he's him.
Yeah.
No pun intended to Carmelo Hayes, but he is actually him when it comes to this. And they've obviously strapped a rocket to his back since he first got up there, winning the IC title, keeping it for as long as he did, and now this. I don't know, man. I think SmackDown is easier to predict than Raw at this point, just because of what's going on.
And I'll put a prediction out there. I'm gonna, can you have Gunther lose twice? Maybe you can by some shenanigans. I think WWE wants main event Jey Uso in a spotlight match at that pay-per-view, PLE, in that pay-per-view to have that. And, like, think about how much you could sell there, Saudi Arabia, when you have, all those fans.
All of it. But is it the King of the Ring final, or is there another match for Jey? Does Monday finally become the day where we see the Wyatt family debut, the Wyatt Six? And because he stole the Fireflies, is that where we get maybe it's a quick debut for Bo Dallas?
That I was gonna say, and I brought that up to you through text this week. That maybe I think that's the first target.
I think
when they debut.
What a person to go after too. He's the top face on Raw. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to establish the group if we just take this fucker out. It also gives Jey a way back to Jimmy at some point.
I think it might be a bit too soon. On it, you know what? But now I'm thinking about it too, though. Maybe this is where Drew McIntyre comes into the picture. That might be, him facing Jey Uso. Like Drew, he can't, nice. Because I don't think.
So no Drew and Damian at King of the Ring?
I don't think it's going to happen at King of the Ring.
You think it's going to happen at Clash?
I think so.
Really?
I think so.
But Punk cost him the title at Clash too.
Look, and the thing was, I know. It all ties in, right? Punk was mentioning something about, Scotland and whatnot, but you don't want Punk in that match where he's going to be a full-fledged. You cannot in any way, shape, or form.
He'll enjoy
at this moment. I know he'll enjoy it, but it's not good business to present Punk as a full-fledged heel in any scenario.
You think he would go there and he would get booed by the Scotland crowd?
Well, Drew McIntyre's not getting booed.
They could both get cheered. We know, obviously, who's the asshole and who's not in that situation, but...
It would make more sense if McIntyre is facing Priest. It would make more... Because technically they're both heels. That would be your, That would be the babyface. And again, we don't know either. Any match... If Drew McIntyre's in a world title match, he's probably main eventing that show.
I just... I don't, because if you put those two in that spot, especially in Scotland, money usually says, "Hey, give it to Drew." But like, Damian Priest has been doing really fucking good work.
I'm not saying McIntyre doesn't need to win. I'm not calling for him.
So he's gonna go back. He's
gonna take another L. He's gonna go back to his homeland and take another L.
Just stay away, dude.
He'll take that L.
Will Ospreay's gonna go to fucking London in August, and he's gonna lose and just not want to go back. He'll take his stepson and run.
They're gonna take those L's. All right. You know what? So I'm switching my pick, or I'm switching. I have Gunther going to the final.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be some shenanigans with McIntyre. They'll have a match with Jey Uso. Are you sticking with that pick as well?
I think it's kind of just it is. I feel bad for Jey. Feels like he kind of gets like really close to the launching pad, and can never fully jump over it.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's going to be Gunther on the Raw side.
How about on the SmackDown side? So again, we got 4. The semifinals will be on tomorrow night. You can make a case. Again, Tonga's at the bottom there, so
It's going to be Orton tonight. It's money and it's Saudi Arabia. They don't know who Carmelo Hayes and Tama Tonga are. So I mean,
you
it's
think Tama's gonna lose?
Yeah.
I don't think he's losing to LA Knight.
really.
I don't think he's losing to LA Knight. I think he's gonna. I think he'll at least make the final.
I think that's where maybe you see someone come back. Maybe you see Kevin get involved, something like that. One of those guys come back and stop the cheating from the bloodline. And you see, this doesn't really. Tama Tonga's involvement in this tournament isn't really important. He's kind of just there to establish himself and to get some matches on TV, so you can see him a little bit. Solo is obviously the head. What does that say if the other dude that's kind of just there is the one going to the finals? It kind of puts Solo like in a spot already where he's being challenged by one of his guys who's come in and got super big attention, all the social media attention, obviously the stuff, the great entrance, everything too. It's like, there's got to be a line where Solo even kind of draws it to and is really the guy still. So
I do think he'll at least make the final, or not the SmackDown final, the semifinal. I guess
there's no way Carmelo Hayes wins that. I'm sorry.
No,
he's not there yet.
No, we're gonna do our step up series or our step up segment later on. I strongly thought about picking Hayes there.
He's been doing okay. He's
He's
bought
been
into
doing okay.
the first round pick thing
But
or whatever
remember,
it was.
the
But
whole point of our step up is just because okay's not good enough. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, without giving away your pick, I won't say who you picked. But okay is not good enough. The person you picked is doing okay. But that's not good enough. That person could do better. Randy Orton winning the SmackDown side.
It's kind of a foregone conclusion.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Orton and Gunther be just a strange match for Randy, just from a standpoint of he's going to get the shit kicked out of him in that match. We've been talking about him kind of being babied a little bit, just not doing a lot of the crazy spots, taking it easy on his back. Well, he's going to get his ass whooped in that match, whether he likes it or not. I mean, and I'm not talking about, they're going to do some moves. Like, no, he's going to actually ask anyone who wrestles Gunther, stiff as fuck, and he lays that shit in. So Randy's going to feel that the next day.
Oh, yeah,
and then the day after that, and then the day after that, and then the day after that, and then the month after that. Yeah. Like it, because then we're going to get into June. But you get my point.
18 months off.
Fuck.
He did say, real quick before we get to the women's tournament, he did say, because I thought about this, like, years ago, if you were in your 30s, you were at the back nine of your wrestling career. And Orton recently in the interview said when he was, 35, 36, he thought, like, okay, I was near the end. He got that surgery. He took the 18 months off. And due to, like, new technology, he feels more healthy now in his career than he did for, like, a whole decade.
Well, everybody is always wrestling with certain things, little nagging things here or there. They tape shit up, whatever it is. You see the knees, you see the elbows, the wrists, whatever. I mean, and he didn't stop. Like, he didn't take, like, these 6-month excursions into Hollywood or whatever it was. He filmed a couple movies, but they were WWE movies, and he was back in a month. I mean, like, it's...
When you doing a WWE film,
it's a little different.
That means you got to still work.
But, like, nevertheless...
If you're filming Marines 7, you're still showing up to Raw.
So, like, he hasn't taken a break. Like, a real break.
They might...
It's so long. The rest of his body, I know it was his back, obviously not super... But, yeah, but, like, the rest of his body was probably like, thank you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And now he's just come back jack as shit. So.
Yeah. He's a great shit. Again... Keep listening to our show because we both believe this is going to be a big summer for Randy Orton. Just leave it at that.
Something you need to tell me?
I think this is going to be a big summer for Randy Orton.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be a big summer.
Sorry, I'm a little bit slow today, folks.
No, you're good. You're good.
It's all the sun.
How about that?
It's sunny in Northeast Ohio for a couple days in a row. Don't know what to do with myself.
So it's amazing. So we obviously found a graphic for the men's King of the Ring.
Yeah,
we did not WWE did not grant that same
It's the
equality.
Ohio High School Athletic Association quarter and semis for football. What the fuck am I looking at right now?
When we were doing the CVC stuff,
Yeah.
we were trying to especially basketball because it's not really organized. Not the conference. I'm talking about the state in general. It's like, wait, this team is facing who? But they're in this division. They're there. It was. We was always like, Pete, what's our next game? And we.
Who's playing who? Where? What?
What? They're facing who?
I don't know. This is still it's readable and it's easy.
So real quick, by your side will be the SmackDown quarterfinals that's going to take place on Friday. Nia Jax versus Jay Cargill.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tiffany Stratton and Bianca Belair.
What a fucking semifinal wound up on. We get to see Jade pick up Nia a couple times with one hand. That's going to be fun. And then we get Bianca and Tiffany, which I think, honestly, Tiffany should beat her.
Yeah, I have Tiffany winning that match. I don't think because it was they teased it. They teased that Jade and Bianca could match up, and they did it in a friendly. They did it in a friendly let's not worry about that right now. I don't think that'll happen.
Then again, it is Triple H, so you never know. He may want to give us some of the cake early.
I know, but Tiffany Stratton, obviously, you want to put that rocket on her.
Well, she's been treated like that way since she came up. So I mean, this is a moment where she can kind of have her moment against probably Jade, and then
how about that match?
Promptly lose.
How about that match if that happens?
What?
The
Jade and Tiffany.
And Tiffany.
Good match.
I mean that.
Tiffany right now is where Charlotte was supposed to be. Ironically enough, she just happens to look just like Charlotte. So it's kind of funny where we are. Like when Charlotte comes back, I'd imagine this will be one of her first targets.
Good.
Just because it's like watching clones.
Is it possible for Charlotte to be in a feud that doesn't involve the championship?
A challenge for Charlotte. Yeah, come back and not fight for the title, fight for this.
Let's actually get some, I don't know, after several years in the WWE, let's get some, I don't know, some character development.
Until Tiffany's actually champion, then Charlotte goes after.
This is not about Charlotte Flair.
Can I talk about one of the women in the top part of this bracket?
Yes, please.
Lyra Valkyria is fucking awesome.
Yes, you're a big fan of hers.
Holy shit. Like, she was great. Crowd, we were waiting for some of these NXT stars to kind of get over. And, like, the crowd was into the entrance. They were doing it was almost like the Sting thing with like they were engaged in it. They were following through it.
How's the crowd again?
Not doing it again. But yeah, like doesn't hurt that she's not bad to look at, but nevertheless, like it's awesome to see what she's doing and getting over quickly. I think Ilya and Carmelo and some of these guys need to look at her a little bit as like the model about how to do this. Maybe even Tiffany Stratton a little bit too, as far as looking at her. The girls are getting it.
Yeah, they
are. The girls are getting it, and they're doing a great job.
This has been a phenomenal tournament, and again, was helped on the Raw side. Damage Control is doing a great job, of course, in their roles. I thought Dakota, I thought she did a great job, and of course, all of Damage Control have done a great job. And guess what? Remember the cold water I was talking about with Becky Lynch earlier in the year? Oh yeah, that's long gone. Like Becky Lynch has found this is where she thrives. New cast of characters, new people to work with.
It's a shame that I went away in a couple weeks, right?
I know. I know, right? True.
Yeah, about that stride you were on.
Right.
She needs to resign first before we talk about that.
Maybe she's tired of Sethel.
What the fuck's gonna happen? Yeah, right. You know what's gonna happen?
She gonna go on a record.
Well, no, so like she's gonna sign on Thursday. Like right after this comes out. I'm gonna look like a fucking idiot. So thank you, Becky. I appreciate it. Love your book, by the way.
Book's great.
I'm a couple chapters in now. I enjoy it. But
looks great. By the way, Io Sky. One little observation. Io Sky. She was in a heel versus heel match, basically in her quarterfinal against Baszler, and Io working as a babyface in that match. some, kind of testing the waters. I'm not saying damage control as a whole is not turning, and I don't think Io's turning anytime soon. But it's always interesting when you have a face versus face or a heel versus heel.
Yeah.
And depending on who the crowd favors, can that particular wrestler adjust in the match? And I thought Io did a great job.
I hope that Io doesn't go over Lyra. Lyra's not winning this because when Jade Cargill gets to the final, it's over. But just because, again, but those two need to be in the final.
Yeah.
Lyra and Jade. They both need to be there. I don't want to see Io and Jade. I have no...
I think this is as far as Io's going to get.
I don't know.
I think so.
I think there's always a little bit of a hesitancy from Triple H to go all the way with some of the NXT talent right away, just because it could seem like he's like favoring certain people. And Io's obviously been a women's champion. She had that background, leader of Damage Control, as Michael Cole put her out there, which she's not. But I mean, like we know Dakota is, but nevertheless, she's been the most successful.
I think the concern too is like when you get to that final on the pay-per-view, who would if it's her and Jade in the final, who's carrying that match? I think we know.
Either Lyra or Io are carrying the match.
Right.
That's not the question. I mean, it's the build-up then too, the talking towards it, all that stuff. And again, this is no shot at Io, but the English isn't there.
Well, the one good thing overall about this tournament, especially on the SmackDown side, if you see the dates up there, the semifinal will happen on the 24th, the SmackDown final, and then the next day is the King of the Ring or King of the whatever pay-per-view.
King, Queen of the Ring. Yeah.
So I get technically you make the final.
It's a quick flip.
The next day you're in the you're in the final. But overall, two great tournaments that has been taken very seriously with great matchups, great stories throughout, and even some matchups that Triple H has teased and chooses not to deliver on, and that's a good thing because you don't need to give away dream matches in the middle of a tournament.
Oh, you're Tony Khan. Blow your load right away. There'll be more dream matches, right?
Ain't that the truth? All right. When we first brought this up, we thought this was going to be a much, much, much bigger story than what it is.
Yeah.
So we're not going to spend too much time on this. But basically, Dana White, after the UFC pay-per-view in St. Louis last weekend, made the comments saying that, there's, TKO weekends, Powerslap on Fridays, which I cannot believe Powerslap still exists, UFC on Saturday, WWE on Sundays. And at first, everyone's up in a frenzy because we can't have all these PLEs go back to Sundays, which, okay, I'm with you on that. But if you really listen to what he said, he did not make mention that every WWE PLE was going to go to Sundays. It was not going to be
UFC doesn't have a huge event every month. WWE usually has one premium live event per month. Sometimes it can be two, depending on timing of the dates or whatever it is. This is going to be maybe like a 2 to 3 times a year thing at most, where they happen or just coincide with each other. And if they do, that's how TKO wants to set it up. So it's like, hey, precursor, awesome night, main event, essentially. Because WWE and UFC are kind of like this as far as popularity, especially now. Powerslap, which, by the way, for a demonstration, Double A is going to stand up and I'm going to slap him.
Fuck out of here.
Just full on open hand. Who's your daddy bitch slap?
We got to have, like, the setup, though, too. Like, that's got
Hold the fucking things.
I can't believe that. I tried watching that one time.
Oh, it's so much fun. Oh, the buildup is insane. He's going to. Oh, shit.
You got to.
Fucking
you gotta
Mr.
get the materials.
Everyone's Mr. Miyagi in the corner waiting.
You gotta get that. You gotta get that half-cut donut. And get that half-cut donut ready. Get that going.
Oh my god.
Maybe that's what that half-cut donut, that half-sliced donut was for. Maybe it's just
So I want to see someone in Powerslap that has a catchphrase while they're slapping. That would be amazing.
if we want to improve power slapping,
You're right.
they need to cut promos.
Mm-hmm.
They have to. Power Slap is built for promos.
Oh my God! It's
built for it.
At the end of the day, you're slapping somebody. I mean, that's
Have them come here
Make
in
it
our
personal.
green screen, and next time there's a Power Slap, bring a Power Slap event to Cleveland. We'll get them here in the studio just to cut promos. We're not going to demonstrate. Hell no. But just to have them cut promos.
I think we can get Pete to volunteer to get slapped one time for Power Slap.
No.
Hey, do you want to like not see straight for like 2 weeks?
We do have Cleveland Clinic here.
Get the smelling salts.
Actually, that would be the draw right there. We do have Cleveland Clinic here.
Yeah.
That's it. I have nothing else.
Most cities have a hospital they trust, and we happen to have one here.
We have
UH
one of the
Cleveland
most
Clinic. Yeah,
one of the most popular
That's for heart.
hospitals.
not for bitch slaps. That's for heart issues. They're number one. Yeah.
Wouldn't that lead to heart issues though? Like you get slapped the way that they have. Would that lead
I'd
to heart issues?
Call me crazy. I'd be more concerned about my brain.
Ah,
And my brain hitting the side of my skull.
CT thing's overrated.
Concussion.
That movie was made up.
Concussion.
That whole thing was.
That movie was made
That
up.
movie was made
I
up.
mean, technically, it was not physically real.
I mean that Oklahoma drill. We need
Will
to
Smith
see
is
more
not
of
a
those.
doctor. I know that for sure. He's not an
Speaking
actor.
of Will Smith, that's who they need to sign.
Power Slap needs to sign Will Smith. How the fuck are we going? Hey, in case you're wondering, that's the train down there. It's been off the rails for a while.
No, who is the most? Which American today is most known for bitch slapping? I rest my case.
We're like a year too late to this story, but
we
that's
are
fine.
very much too late.
Like maybe even beyond
It's not
that.
our fault. That's his fault. He should have been taking full advantage of
Should have
this.
jumped on it, Dana.
Should have jumped on it.
Bad businessman, that guy.
Terrible.
What's he doing?
There's a reason why you're where you're at TKO and not at a higher level of TKO.
Just on the board of
You're just a
TKO.
board member.
He's
What
just
kind
running the
of
entire
decision?
fucking thing.
Who the hell think you can make a decision to move WWE to Sundays? Man, get out of here. Just for your power slap. You couldn't even sign Will Smith. What are you doing? Now that's the guy who can cut a promo. That's a promo.
I just go back to the bad boy scene at the door.
I mean, man.
For some reason, that popped in my head. I was like, bro, what?
You look 30.
You 15?
I'm not gonna say the other part of that
You
line.
look 30. Oh, hell no, Marcus.
This
This dude,
dude gun.
yeah.
He's swinging his gun like, dude, what
This
are you
dude 30.
What are you doing? He was like, I'm gonna take her out. You better be home by 10.
10:01. I'm in the car.
I'm in the car rolling. I'm in the car rolling. I'm in the car. I was a kid.
Then you know what comes next, and I can't say it.
So there we go. That's Data, you blew it. All right. So I
I
wanted
have to get serious. Fuck.
Hold up. I'm only switching slides because I learned this week in my 3-foot apartment.
Is that called a deep breath?
It's time to get serious.
And now I just slap you. Oh, you can cut the tension with a half cut open fucking donut in here. Good.
Oh man! So there's David Benoit.
Of course, doubly delivering that in the worst way possible.
I promise.
Oh my god.
So there's David Benoit.
Just like, look at this fucking guy. I bet you he doesn't cut his donuts in half.
He should be cutting it all.
Oh.
Oh God, that's bad. That's bad.
You know, your dad one time brought some donuts to work.
Bro, chill. Oh man, come on, man. We're serious.
For preface on this, in case you don't know what we're talking about, the guy right behind me with the blue hat, right over there, That's David Benoit. That's the son of Chris Benoit. We can say that name because we're not in WWE.
Correct. Yeah.
We're our own podcast. But
Yeah.
nevertheless.
His father main evented a WrestleMania.
And then proceeded to main event the storylines for some really awful stuff.
Yeah.
Long story short, the murder of his wife and one of his kids.
Yeah.
A lot of CT issues obviously found in that brain. A lot of
Yeah, that's not a joke.
no.
Yeah.
This is that's the
and
one
that
part
was
where
and that was that was the height of it too when those issues were not being addressed.
no. Well, of course, Eddie Guerrero had died the year prior. That guy's dad's best friend, essentially. People noticed a change in Chris then.
Yeah.
When you lose someone like that, it kind of can trigger some things that maybe have been dormant.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, one thing led to another.
So let's just cut right to the chase here. So we know the history with his father.
Yes. And now you do too.
But it's his father.
Mm-hmm.
So this question's been brought up for years, but I wanted to bring it to the table with him meeting up with Adam Copeland. If David Benoit is ready to wrestle, and we don't know his status, but this is a talk show, so we explore this. If he's ready to wrestle, should WWE or AEW sign him? If he's ready to, if he comes up and says, "Hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to wrestle. I'm good to go. I'm all trained," and it's clear that he's ready to go. I think it's two questions. Should they sign him? Would they sign him?
First one is, well, if he's good enough, yeah. You shouldn't be punished for something that your parents have done that have negatively impacted your lives on any level, that you had no involvement with, that you had no. It's not his fault. His last name is Benoit. It's not. Like it is. It's his last name. He could have changed it. He talked about that a while back. He said, I don't want to. I think people look at the name Benoit and they automatically think the worst things. I want to change people's minds. He said, I want people to think about something positive. It's a hard road to go down. And it's one of the reasons why I'm going to try and reach out to him, too, see if he wants to come on the pod. Just because it's a tough road to get back to where people are having this conversation based on what his family's had to endure and go through over the past, 15, 20 years, whatever it's been.
And this is there's a reason why this topic is not often addressed on shows like this.
See, we don't give a fuck. We'll talk about whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pete's laughing, but it's true.
No, it's true.
Like, we talked about it at the very beginning of the show. I worked in news for a long time and had to have a filter on when it came to opinions about certain stories, about just in general, whatever it is. And they took the fucking leash off when I came over here. So I don't give a shit. And this guy deserves a chance to talk about his story and to talk about how he felt and why he wants to, pursue this passion that he has, that his father had as well, where his father, you talked about it, reached the top.
Mm-hmm.
He was a world champion in WWE, the biggest company, the most popular company.
World champion.
He was the guy.
World champion, and I know I'm not asking to separate the two. We're addressing everything now. When he was in the ring,
oh God,
one of the more respected in-ring guys, period.
There was a point in time where people if they said Chris Benoit's name, it was best in the world, based on his talent. That's not, no, that was everywhere.
That's everywhere.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if you were in Japan, didn't matter if you were in TNA, WWE, whatever. He was considered like the best.
If you wanted somebody to just basically, hey, we need a good 15, 20 minutes while the rest of the show's being written. Like, we just need, we need this. We need a wrestler to get better. We need to put him in the ring with Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit was going to give you 20 solid minutes of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
He was going to do that. I've thought about this ever since this picture. I told Kyle I wanted to bring this story to the forefront. And I think this is a very, very tough question. At this moment, I would say, should they bring him in again if they're ready? And I'll add one other thing. I put the stipulation in. He comes in as David Benoit. He doesn't come. You don't change his name. You don't do a Braun Breaker kind of deal.
You can't.
You cannot erase. If you even gave a name change, he's gonna have the same moveset for the most part. Have the same moveset. The same. The one thing I don't want to see is flying headbutts. But other than that, he's gonna have pretty much the same moveset. He's gonna do pretty much the same thing, and he's proud. I mean, this is hard because of what happened that weekend. But he's proud. It's his dad.
It negates that moment in time, that awful lapse in judgment. Unfortunately, negates. I forget how old Chris was. I think he was like in his early 40s. But all the decades behind of being a good father, being there, being a good husband at certain points, whatever. Obviously, something like that flips for a lot of people. But we know, after seeing everything we did, that he was not well, right? I mean, we know that he had CTE. We know he had issues that he never addressed with Eddie and all that stuff too, and it all built up and then it's not fair.
He never shut down.
No, he kept going.
He kept going.
He kept pushing himself.
That was the only way he knew.
Taking the medications and stuff too. That was popular back in the early and mid 2000s too. People popping pills still and all that stuff. Like, it was a thing. Steroids, all that stuff, and it's really unfortunate because you talk to anybody who knew Chris and all that stuff too, and they always say, never would have saw this coming. Everyone has moods, whatever, but we never would have saw this coming.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that was one of the guys too.
Dark Side of the Ring really did a good job.
Yeah.
I think a lot of resources. That was a real dark time in professional wrestling back that summer of 2007. To answer the question, I'm going to say no unless, and this would only probably happen in WWE, unless there was a particular reason, you have a particular stories in mind, and most importantly, you have people on standby who's there to look after him and take good care of him mentally, because he will, no matter what, he will hear it from the fans.
I don't know if
it's going to be the initial jokes.
He'll get the one fan every once in a while, but I think more people at this point. Now, it's also imperative for the company that would bring him in to tell his story correcely.
That's the thing.
If AEW just debuts him, then that's not.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
We both. I don't think I'm out of line in saying this. We both only trust WWE in this particular part of the question to tell the story right. If they wanted to bring him in,
I mean, TNA could probably do it too.
I'm just in WWE or AEW.
Oh, those two, yeah.
Yeah.
Because AEW would just, they would probably try to change his name, or if they didn't, they would make it, they'd tie him to like Jericho or something like that. And the reason why he's taking a picture with Edge is because obviously Edge and Benoit were close and stuff too and all that. So they've known each other forever. I mean, it's
but
just...
you need a whole support system from management on down. AEW has guys like Adam, like a few other, and I know Jericho's in a bad light right now, but Jericho has history with the family. Jericho,
at least Chris would be a good person to lean on. Yeah.
Right. Like, they have people, but they don't have a management structure.
No.
To really support this young man.
Well, he's not going to Tony Khan if something was happening there. He'd be going to Edge or to Chris or something like that, or Christian or one of those guys.
But Tony has proven that he can't handle crisis anyway.
Yeah.
So if things went sideways...
Yeah, what happens when someone decides to maybe try and jump the barrier and run after the dude or something like that?
If something went sideways, they would have no idea how to fix it.
Be a question I want to ask him. I mean, or would you be prepared for something like that? It's easy to kind of, say it in passing, oh, yeah, whatever, I do this for a living, all that kind of stuff. But when you're on that kind of level, there's that many people there, and they're all wrestling fans. And they know about your dad. They know about the history. I mean... It's a different kind of undertaking. I'm sure it's going to be emotional for him too, to get into those moments. And 95% of that's going to be cheers. They're going to be happy to see someone rise above all that evil and that darkness and be able to come out and hopefully do well. And of course, we hope the best for him too, because it's not fair that he has to go through. This shouldn't even be a topic. Like, he should be able to do this. I mean, but there's pause because of what happened, and maybe some of it is too. We haven't seen him wrestle. I don't know if he's fantastic in the ring. It'd be something if we do get him on the show. I want to try and find some matches of his and watch, so we can see like, okay, if he's really good, yeah, fucking sign. He's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can tell stories, if he can cut promos, if he can wrestle well, if he's safe in the ring too. I mean, the name's there, the pedigree's there. I mean, it's now just about trying to rebuild that image, and I mean, I don't see any reason why he couldn't do it.
And you need to, again, you gotta have the machine behind them to do that. The second part of the
Which machine? The one that's faulty and breaking down, or the one that's firing on all cylinders and got oil yesterday?
that's a good question.
That's where it's tough.
The second part of the question though, will any of these companies? I'll open it up to some of the other independent companies, notable ones.
Well, he's wrestling in New Japan, isn't he?
He's been around.
Yeah.
So here in the United States, would WWE, AEW, TNA, or any other respectable promotions, but that's really your top three.
If he hasn't already, I mean, MLW, I'm sure would do something like that. TNA, I don't know. I mean, that's
TNA seems like they're like in a different place in terms of like what they want to do.
I don't know if it's a question of who would take him in. I think it's a question of would WWE take him in.
Yeah.
Because that's where he needs to be. I mean, plain and simple. He'll have the support system at least from the actual
NXT,
guys.
I'm sorry to cut you off. With NXT,
no.
So if WWE were to take him on, you would want like Performance Center, do your training and
Train for a couple months, whatever it is, then go.
Main roster.
Yeah. I also don't think he's that young. I think he's.
We're saying young man. He might be.
I think he's got to be in his 30s.
Yeah. So
there's not a lot of time to just spend kind of toiling away on the independent, or not independent, but in the developmental brand. I mean, it's a name for NXT, but at the same point, it's if you're ready, let's go. Now, if they brought him into the Performance Center and he wasn't ready, okay, then start him in NXT. But I mean, I don't know.
I only say NXT because in a way that's kind of a controlled environment. That story can be told down there. They have a great, again, management system, a great support system down there, and you're off a run. But again, to your point, Kyle, we don't know his wrestling skill level.
I'd liken him
I think that part is important too.
Yeah, I'd liken him to kind of like Jade, as far as the presentation where they should go with him, just because of the name recognition. I mean, as soon as you see that, people's minds are going to go, "Oh, well, okay, well, this is his son." I thought first thing they're going to ask, I thought his son was killed, and they realized actually he had more than one. This was the older one, and then it's going to be up to him. I mean, he's going to get it's almost kind of like when AEW started. He's going to get good faith because he's on this crusade to obviously restore that last name, but he's got to bring it. Plain and simple.
And that story has to be told too.
Yeah.
He can't just show up. That's the truth. He can't just show up. Hey, it's David Benoit. That story has to be shared. And WWE, we trust that story can't be told. And I'll add on too, it's a great story to tell on Netflix. It's a great story of redemption to share. These are the type of things that a Netflix would eat up.
Yeah.
Would absolutely eat up that redemption story.
You can be a little more edgy on Netflix. And the story of his family is edgy.
Because before we move on, I just want to make this point. There's a lot of people, a lot of people across the world, who everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has made mistakes. We're not advocating, to kill your whole family at all. We're not doing that.
I would say so. No, don't do that.
Do not do that. But when that happens, or any kind of bad thing, and there's family involved, I think the media, I think a lot of storytelling, I think they're afraid to share that story of, all right, this happened. Now what for the ones who are still here? Now what? It's almost like a kind of a funeral kind of deal. Like everybody shows up, the week after, whatever, and then the funeral happens. But then what happens when the service is done and the doors are shut? What happens afterwards? What's the aftermath like then? And I think a ton of people have thrown this man, David Benoit's story, in the trash because they're scared of the overarching story of what his dad did on that fateful weekend. And the media forgot, and I think a lot of people forgot that there was another family member that has still been here for the last 17 years post that event. So his story needs to be told. Whether or not it leads back to his road to professional wrestling, he deserves an opportunity. If he's worked his tail off to have that, he deserves an opportunity if he has a good support system to get back and reclaim something that his father unfortunately took away from him.
Yeah.
So we'll stay on top of this. Hopefully we'll get him on because that's a heavy story.
He's got to be willing to talk too. That's the thing. You never know. Some people are more kind of, hidden about it. I mean, he's made no bones about obviously becoming a professional wrestler and trying. So he's got a platform here if he wants to talk about it. So
absolutely. All right. I kind of forgot what was the next slide here. We'll make
whoopsie daisies.
Ooh.
Someone commented jokingly on one of the shorter videos on this that, now, TNT's gonna throw $3 billion at Tony for 3 hours of Dynamite and
3 hours of Dynamite.
God.
Collision.
We have enough
Rampage
problems.
is gonna be 6 hours long.
We have enough problems running with 2 hours of TV. Let's try and make it third.
So I think now it's pretty clear that barring some miracle, my favorite sports property of all time inside the NBA and the NBA and TNT will be no more after next season.
So Bill Simmons says it's over.
Yeah, and Bill Simmons,
He's
many others.
They're just waiting for the season to end before they're making the announcement that it's moving to NBC.
Many others. And just on their front, if you haven't followed why they're losing the NBA, ESPN re-up. They both, ESPN and TNT, had exclusive negotiating windows. ESPN seemingly has worked out the framework of their new deal. It's pretty much going to be similar to what they have now with the finals and whatnot. TNT did not. TNT looked at the financials and said, I don't think we're going to be able to pay probably what the NBA was looking for. So you go ahead and take this to the open market. And here comes NBC, owned by Comcast. We'll put down $2.5 billion on the NBA. And from everything we're hearing, TNT is saying, we ain't got that kind of money. We don't have that money. Plus, people are cutting the cord with cable, too. So that's the big front. NBC, a broadcasting network, is looking to take over a cable package, put games on NBC, also Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock will be the big
Peacock as well.
I think Peacock's more popular than HBO Max, too.
And then you've been hearing about the Amazon part. The NBA is creating a third package for Amazon Prime Video. Pretty much Prime Video proving themselves as a huge deal on the NFL front with Thursday Night Football. They want to do the same thing on the NBA side.
And Netflix is going to be hosting 2 NFL games.
Yeah, on Christmas Day. We just found out yesterday.
Yeah.
They're going to have games on Christmas Day. So, yeah. So, we'll have another discussion as far as, like, how much money you got to spend, like, more, on cable and streaming and all that.
Do you think
stuff.
this is... So, I've answered this question before, but I kind of want to get your opinion on it. I mean, is this good news or bad news in your mind for AEW when it comes to NBA leaving TNT?
I think it's good news if they have lower expectations. I think it's bad news if they want more
money.
So I guess overall it's bad news. It's are you staying on network television on on 2 networks that are watched by a lot of people? If that's the ultimate goal, then this is great news because it's going to be more programming. But we're joking about the 5-hour Dynamites and stuff. But If they want more money, no, not good. Not good, because I don't think they'll get it.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because if TNT loses the NBA, I'd imagine that along with Major League Baseball, this is their most profitable contract they've had. So they're going to be losing a lot of money, not getting the NBA on their airwaves. So where do those cuts come in? They're not spending the money, but they're also not making the money. I mean, if AEW is expecting to get this gigantic contract, this big re-up from TNT, they may offer the same deal they got before. Like, I'm talking the original deal, not the one where they got bumped up a little bit after the first few months.
Yeah.
Like, if you're expecting this gigantic, huge TV deal from TNT, I just don't see it happening.
And I think if it would have happened, I think we would have heard about it already. Now, I understand, just to be realistic, I get it. They're probably holding their horses until they get the official word that they've lost the NBA, which has not happened yet. Again, we may not hear that until after the finals or after the playoffs. But, yeah, in terms of fans who believe that losing the NBA is a benefit to All Elite Wrestling, that is simply not true.
I've heard some rumblings that the TNT losing NBA is strategic because they have bigger plans. Not with AEW, but with like NFL, that kind of thing. Trying to get some football on their networks. So maybe you kind of bite the bullet, lose NBA, but maybe you get some college football, NFL, something like that.
But they won't have the NFL for at least. I think the opt-out deal with the NFL, which I think they'll take, is up in 2029. That's still 5 years away.
It's.
I understand that's on the pipeline, but that's still 5 years.
Yeah. It's long-term planning, and maybe they're kind of hoping because the NBA is creating another package that they can find a way to tie in HBO Max, so they can find a way to kind of get Discovery, whatever it is, that kind of thing, trying to get something streamed, professional sports-wise. I mean,
but here's the:
I don't know.
Do you have regular cable?
I have YouTube TV.
You have YouTube TV. I have Sling. Pete, do you have regular cable? YouTube TV. So, I'll be honest. If we weren't doing this podcast, we weren't doing this show, and the NBA goes away from TNT on my Sling package, I don't need TNT. I don't need TBS. If I want to watch Big Bang Theory, I can go to Netflix.
Can buy the box set, or just go to Netflix.
I can buy whatever.
Yeah.
I can do that. You know, if Rebecca wants to watch Friends, she has other ways to watch Friends. You know, she doesn't need to watch TBS and wait till 12 in the afternoon to watch Friends. That's the problem too. Like Roku, a lot of these other streamers now, and I noticed on Sling, they have these channels that just re-air old shows, old sitcoms, and old dramas and stuff. Like old ones, but also recent ones too. You know, so some of these networks that are depending on airing Friends and Big Bang and, you know, Charm and all the, you know, the stuff that TNT and TBS was airing. You want to watch those shows, you don't need cable. You do need cable for live sports.
For now. It's changing very quickly, but yeah.
That's changing very quickly.
Right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I know. But 10 years from now, will a WWE show even be on a cable network? Or will Netflix take it all? They have the money to do so. Or Amazon. They look at how great Netflix is doing with Monday Night Raw.
They decided to buy SmackDown.
Anthony, you know, you guys do live sports not on cable all fall. So
yeah,
in winter.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, we do.
So we're already there. Catch the fuck up, guys.
We do. You got to watch those games. By the way, I believe hopefully this fall we might have a couple state champions. We'll see. A couple state champions going at it face to face. We'll see.
I'd imagine at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, time for your top 5.
It's the return of the top 5. We did this last week. We did it with it was the characters in the Wyatt 6, I believe.
Or
was it?
Yeah, the YS6.
Yeah. It was like a list. It was like 6 people, so not necessarily 5, but that kind of thing. But this week we're doing something a little different. Yeah, I can't do math apparently. You can pantomime as much as you want. Don't feel free to talk. It is a podcast. I'm doing a podcast with a mime who sifted through the heavy waters of his apartment to find his button-up shirt that was magically dry. But
Not all my clothes got wet.
I thought I'd do something to piss people off. Shocker, right?
Wet clothes.
No.
You got
And
extra vinegar and baking soda?
Pete, cue the sprinklers. No. So what I wanted to do,
That's already been done. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm stalling.
my top 5 of the greatest wrestlers right now.
Right now.
Right
okay?
now. Now, there is a preface on this that those that are injured are not on the list. Also, if you're not...
That's like a quarter of the roster.
Both sides. And now, if you... And now also the other part is too if you're not actively on TV. So if you're injured and you're not actively in storylines right now and on TV, you are not in this list.
So nobody in AEW is on this list because
Nope.
at any given point they could be inactive and off television for a period of time.
Notable names that are not on this list. All of AEW's roster.
They got great wrestlers there.
CM Punk is not on this list.
To your requirement of active rosters or
The guy who's just not physically wrestling, he hasn't been present enough.
yeah, can't make an appearance in small towns in North Carolina.
Roman Reigns is not on this list. He's not currently active. He's on his hiatus. He may not be back till SummerSlam. So, for now, this is current
Roman
active.
will never be on this list then.
He will be
All right.
when he comes back. That 1 week he comes back, he'll be on the list.
We'll run this segment back for the week that he's back.
Number 5. This is going to shock Double A. You brought up NXT earlier.
I did.
Number 5 on my list is Trick Williams.
Trick.
His story with Lash Legend now, who's actually his real life girlfriend, by the way. Dude, she's like 6. She's fucking huge.
I know.
She looked, and we'll talk later.
I know.
But yeah,
You ever took a prom picture? You was on the second or third stair. I'm sure, Kyle. I know your answer.
no. We know where Double A would be though. The top stair.
Shut up. It was not on the top stair, jackass.
It was a third from the top, and it was a 2-story. All right, no, but
Fourth. Get your story, get your facts
poor
straight.
Double A. Stop dating girls on the basketball team. All right, so number 5
They're
again is Trick
talented.
Williams. They are very talented.
Trick Williams.
Trick is now you know when someone's over at NXT when they're chanting your shit
Yeah.
at PLEs and WWE.
And being acknowledged by the announcers.
Exactly, and by multiple people that are on the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of time before that dude comes up there and blows it the fuck up. He's got the look, he's got the size, he's got the ability to talk, obviously, too. The charisma. He's showing a different side. I watched NXT this week for the first time in a while because I had a little bit more free time this week. Yeah,
He's that dude.
he's that fucking dude. Even the promo segments and stuff, he just commands the entire room and the people that are in it.
I've noticed that. Again, coming from somebody who doesn't watch as much NXT as I should, I'm very well aware of whenever he's out there.
And Carmelo Hayes deserves some credit for that. Obviously, kind of having Trick be with him for that first initial rise for Carmelo was huge. It kind of exposed just enough of Trick to be like, okay, yeah, he's pretty talented, he's pretty cool, but they always kind of thought he was the sidekick. Now he's actually shown that he probably has a higher ceiling than Carmelo when it comes to the next level. They're both obviously probably going to be world champions at some point, but I mean, Trick has the ability to be one of the best in the world, if not already is. His work is always solid. I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be in the
So
top
Trick
5.
delivers. I'm going to play the ignorant fool here for a second. Trick delivers more than just the whoop that Trick. Like there's a whole package
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes far beyond what Booker T, says and stuff.
Which, by the way,
kudos to Booker T.
no, watching NXT, yeah, Booker T is pretty bad. In announcing, I'm sorry. I love you, Booker. I think you're fucking great.
I see not all things have changed. I'm kidding.
But, dude, oh, man, there's something else for you we could do. Be an agent. Be a producer. Get him in upper management. Do something where he's like, yeah, but my God. Oh.
You found out other than sound, when it goes beyond sound clippings, you actually got to listen to Booker T. It's a little different.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that was rough.
But Trick Williams is your number 5.
Yeah. Number 4, this is kind of bending the rules a little bit, but he's been on TV more. I have Drew McIntyre.
I'll allow it.
Technically hurt, though he's technically still going to ringside for matches.
He's
still
been on
doing
television
his thing.
every week.
He's still been there every week. He's not taking time off.
In-ring gear.
Yes, he's cutting promos that are setting up matches. He's technically active. I'm putting Drew on this list. He's one of, if not the best promo today. I mean, whether it's in social media or it's actually physically in front of the fans, I mean, he's killing it. He's still firing
I
off
gotta say,
the Punk story right now is the best story in WWE.
It's crazy to say that another wrestler is carrying, at this moment, a CM Punk feud verbally. Drew's doing that. And there's so many stories. There's so many things, it's the story of how you can be fully obsessed. Like, how can one person take you completely off your goals? I love the story.
It's relatable. Everyone has that one person in their life they look back at, they're like, man, fuck that guy. Like, whether it was in high school, it was a guy you were competing against on your team, or, at work, you have this guy that just always seems to do something a little bit different than you and gets acknowledged more, whatever it is. Everyone has that person where it's like, man, fuck that dude.
Slices a donut in half.
Well, that dude's going to kill you. But nevertheless, so run. Number 3, Jey Uso.
Let's say that a year ago. Not at this time a year ago.
Dude's, like I said, he probably is right now, when it comes to anybody in wrestling, the most over man in the world.
Look, I said this last week. I think if his in-ring skills continue to improve, he's on track as a singles wrestler to be a Hall of Famer.
Look at the match with Ilya. I know no one usually has a bad match with Ilya, but
I thought that was the perfect opponent for Jay.
Yeah.
For his, if you want to criticize the in-ring presence, I thought that was Jey Uso's best match.
I love, and then we talked about stepping up. Both the people we said last week needed to step up did.
Mm-hmm.
I had Chad Gable. You had Jey Uso. Chad had a good week, a lot more structure, a lot more getting along with the story. The great fucking Taylor not Swift line, which was funny. I'm sure Rebecca would love that one.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
But Jay, like I said, man, he's on fire. It's a shame he's gonna lose this King of the Ring tournament, but at the same point, like there's gonna be something there for him. We just don't know what it is yet. But I mean, he's
the last 3 guys you have mentioned. I'm sure this will apply to the next 2. They are fully in tune with their character, and they know not only what's working, they're tripling down on what's working for them. And they're not running from it, but they're also not like they're not over exaggerating a little bit. Like, they know who they are, and all 3 of the guys you have mentioned have worked to improve since we've talked about these guys weeks and months back.
Right. Number 2, the guy that Jay's probably going to lose to in the King of the Ring. I have Gunther as number 2 on the list. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone's list that doesn't have him in the top 3 if they're honest. If they're not just AEW fans or whatever it is and want to throw a bunch of Japanese wrestlers who I don't know who they are at the top because they saw a clip.
It's a dream match, Kyle.
Oh, but I saw this clip in Japan of him doing a double backflip. Well, fuck you.
Well, it was a dream match. It was a triple flip, actually.
Triple flip, yeah. Triple go fuck yourself. Gunther's too, again, probably right now the best worker in the entire business.
Are you noticing a little storyline developing in the King of the Ring tournament with him? Every match, he has ended the match with a different submission finisher. We joked last week, like, what is his finisher, actually? He's like that 5-tool athlete
He's
that
so
finds different ways to win.
he's so believable in what he's doing because he is a fucking massive human that just likes to beat the shit out of people. Like it looks legit. It's one of the ties into all this. It's that guy will walk up to you and slap the fuck out of your chest, and he'd be like, "God, what truck just hit me?" Like you look like it looks like it hurts. It looks like you feel it. I mean, it's awesome. So he's my number 2, and my number 1 is kind of obvious right now. He's on top of the world still, especially after the win over AJ. It's Cody Rhodes. He until he shows me otherwise, he still is the top guy in the top company. Still wrestling, still there every week on SmackDown. He's going to have his match with Logan Paul, which I hope they do a champion versus champion because that gets the U.S. title off of Logan.
I think all signs are pointing to that.
Which opens up Logan to do more. He has more breathable, more room to have a big match at SummerSlam and that kind of stuff too if he's not currently holding a championship. Because if he has a title in that situation, it's almost like he has to win. It can be a little bit different with this kind of thing, but yeah, I mean, Cody's just, it is what it is. I mean, he's still phenomenal. No pun intended.
So I love it. I love the top 5, at least with the parameters you have set.
So for all the AEW marks out there too, honorable mention to Bryan Danielson, and I'd throw Ospreay in there maybe too, just from a wrestling standpoint. Still not really over, but I mean, whatever. Brian's always near the top of that list. But again, he hasn't really been active either recently too. So it's if you're taking my credentials into this or my thoughts into this, I mean, it is what it is. There's nobody else on that show right now, unfortunately, that would be worthy of being in the top 5. To the point where I think I had Brian at 5, and I was like, trick.
Yeah, like again, watching real Ospreay is an experience in a pay-per-view setting, but we talked about it ad nauseum. The follow-up was garbage.
It's not over.
So, when you don't... But Kyle, it's only storytelling.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
Your favorite football team, all they need is a quarterback, and they'll be okay. All right. As we now traditionally do, we end the show. Each of us identify a person who we feel needs to step up going into the next week. And last week, again, thankfully, the guys we-mentioned
they stepped the fuck up.
Did in more ways than one. So I'm very excited for us to share with you.
We're hoping we're starting a trend, yeah.
This week. So, Kyle, you picked Liv Morgan.
Yeah, she kind of was an afterthought on this past episode of Raw. Not the 20th, but the episode before, obviously, when we taped this. So you guys see it on Thursday here. It was this week's episode of Raw. Kind of felt like she was more of a sideline character, not really the main point. Becky Lynch had a match. I mean, obviously, Liv came in at the very end after everything went down. After I think Becky beat Dakota, and then threw into her post and ran away. I have a hunch of where this is going. I've seen some things, and it makes a lot of sense for Liv to win at Queen of the Ring with help from Dominic Mysterio. But will we actually see it, or is Triple H playing the long game here with this because Rhea's still going to be out for some time? I don't know.
Seemed like a slow burn too, but even in that match that you from Monday, even at that match, it seemed like at that moment the bigger story was Becky and
Lyra
and
taking care of damage control.
And damage control. That seemed like the bigger story.
Liv kind of just
if you
came
didn't know
in.
any better, I almost would have thought Becky and Dakota was the championship feud at this very moment.
So she needs to. There's gonna be some sort of moment coming up on this coming up Raw, and then obviously then it's the match for the Women's World Championship. I think she's going to win it. I just think that she needs to, kind of like how Chad did, she needs to have a strong week of building. Whether I don't know if it's a match, I don't know if it's having a face-to-face with Becky before they go in.
Strong promos needed from her.
She's gotten better.
She's gotten better.
We criticized her big time at WrestleMania
she
time for that.
She is getting better, but as we mentioned earlier, step up is not necessarily who's doing bad. It's you're okay. Now it's time to elevate.
Yeah, right now she's like Double A when before he gets on the steps with the girls at prom. She needs to take those extra couple steps, in his case 4, to get to where he needs to go. Don't make me break. I'm talking to the fucking camera, but like it's.
I'm sorry, you're our audience. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're just mad because it made sense. But nevertheless, that's.
You know, there was a report the other day that on the news that that short people have anger management issues.
I wonder why. There's not enough steps in this world.
Shut up. Who needs to step up? Kyle Cordell. I'm kidding.
We just got to make sure Double A is always traveling with an Apple box so we can put it down and make sure he gets another 6 inches on people, and it's all set.
And guess what? It works every time. Shut up.
That's why it's in the back of your car. All right.
I agree with you with Liv. I have this guy,
Yeah.
Logan Paul. And again, both championships will be on the line.
We think.
We believe. We believe that could change.
They've been really good about keeping it like a mystery if it's really going to be both. Cody talked like it was going to be both.
Cody talked about it like immediately. Like
if I win the U.S. championship, I become a Grand Slam. I didn't know he never won the U.S. title, by the way, but nevertheless. I knew he was a good Intercontinental champion, but.
This is a different row here for Logan. Because remember, when he was on the B side of the Universal Championship match against Roman, he was a babyface at that point in time. We were just impressed with his development, but we all understood that the bigger story, of course, was the continuing developments of the bloodline and Roman Reigns. You know, Logan Paul just had to show up at that main event. And he did. No criticism there. He did. Now he's going to be in charge on the B side. He has to elevate. They got a contract signing segment coming up on SmackDown tomorrow. He has to shine. He has to really elevate. I thought Logan did a good job last week in his first face-to-face with Cody. So this is not one of those, oh, he did bad last week. He needs to, do a lot better. He was fine. But now in his contract signing, he has to prove to the audience why he's actually the face of the company. And I think the story, the way that it was trending, was such. From his vantage point, they debuted on the same night. The social media moments as champion. Like, what does being the top champion really mean? Is it just, oh, you beat the top guy, so now I'm the top guy? Or is it somebody you could go out and do all the social media, actually create those moments, actually be the face of the company? Can you portray yourself as the Patrick Mahomes of WWE?
They both have pretty good arguments for that, as far as just who is more recognizable right now for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the possibility of Cody winning the U.S. title because it kind of takes the attention off the world title for a little bit. We talked about like having the champion present, but like he doesn't need to defend it all the time. It'd be nice to have like a U.S. Open challenge with Cody as the guy. He's like, hey, I got both these championships and I don't intend to sit on them, so let's go. Like he can defend the U.S. title a lot, keep the WWE championship matches for later. It's going to lead to that burnout for when The Rock comes back and takes advantage.
I'm not overly in favor of the champion versus champion stipulation here.
This is also because neither one of them had anyone.
Because somebody's going to have to beat Cody for the U.S. championship.
You can get around, like the Bloodline can get involved with that. I mean, that's maybe how someone like Solo gets a championship, his first singles title, or even Tama Tonga or something. They find a way to kind of like curve into there where they can get something off Cody by cheating him out of it.
I almost thought the thought process last Friday was going to be Logan Paul, who's a heel, obviously, in the bad person of the situation. By the way, no, dog, my title's not on the line. Your title's on the line.
That could still happen tomorrow night. We don't know.
I like that. From a heel perspective, that makes all the sense in the world. We're not here to fight for the United States Championship. We're not even in the United States. The championship.
We're not even going to be in the United
We're not even going to be here. We're fighting for the world title or the WWE.
That'd be pretty cool.
World title. That's what we're doing here.
That's their way out of it. Unfortunately, the thought of Cody Rhodes being a Grand Slam champion and further elevating his legacy is kind of cool. But I mean, maybe you can get to that at some other point. But I mean, yeah, this.
If Logan Paul shows out tomorrow, that'll also force Cody to also elevate his game too in a promo battle.
Mhm.
I do think they're as hot as Cody is right now. For some, there is still there's still the letdown, not the cool down period, I should say, of you went through all this battle for 2 years with the bloodline. Now you got to kind of create your own stories here. Logan can do it. Logan can do it. I think if both guys show up tomorrow, they'll be in great shape. Before we wrap, I'm going to leave it on this slide here because once again, next week, Kyle, big time interview.
Yeah, so I don't know if some of you guys saw some of the things Cody Rhodes has done over the course of the past year, but he's really been the company guy, right? He's been the one that's gone out of his way and found a way to really develop that relationship with the fans, and in some cases, in a very special way. So we're excited for our first guest of the Side Hustle podcast coming on next week is going to be the guy who's going to have that guy as his best man at his wedding. If you haven't heard this story, so Cody was at a show on the West Coast. It was either in Washington State or in California, one of the two out there. And yeah, this guy brought a sign to the show. Everyone brings signs now to the show. It was popular when we were kids. It's coming back now. People are doing that. And he has the sign that actually reads, "Cody, will you be my best man?" He asks the crowd. He looks at him. He says, "I'm going to do it." Gives him a hug, all that stuff. I think that's where it could have ended. They could have met backstage. It was great to meet you, man. Hey, obviously legit. Cody's agent reached out to the dude and said, "Hey, man, just checking in. When's the date?" So we're going to have the guy. I'm going to save the name. I'm going to save the intro because he deserves a big one. He's actually former military, so he's going to get a nice, awesome intro from us next week because he's an awesome dude.
That's
and
fantastic.
He's a fan of the podcast. We're excited to have him on. The guy that is going to have Cody Rhodes as his best man next year,
That's
2025, in his wedding. It's actually going to be a year, I believe, to the day today. I think it's May 15th.
Wow.
We're recording on the 15th. It's the 16th, obviously, if you're watching this now. A year from now.
That's amazing.
Well, it's.
I gotta find out like what they're thinking of, like from a DJ perspective. Like, what are they gonna go all wrestling? Like, does he have to come out Cody?
So he's been a WWE fan since he was 6. So you can tell that there's going to be some wrestling involved in this. I believe the wife's on board. I assume so. It's pretty cool.
We gotta find out if the wife is on board.
I feel like she probably is.
Yeah, we gotta.
I guess
find
she
out.
became a fan recently, is what he told me when I was talking to him briefly over social media. But yeah, he found the podcast. He found one of our clips. He follows the show, and we're really excited to have him on next week. It's going to be fun. What we're going to do is something a little bit different. You guys know we obviously have our Let's Fix This series. We have our main podcast. We have the shorts, the clips we throw up, stuff like that. We're actually going to have a separate interview series. So the main podcast will not have the interview in it. We're going to do something special where it's just the interviews. So that way we can cut through all the BS. You're not worried about us saying, "Oh, I got to wait till minute 30 or minute 40 to find the interview." We want you to be able to click that link on right away and see who we're talking to. Get that full conversation. It really gives our guests the full platform to be able to answer questions, to talk through. There's a month in here now. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we're excited about that. It's going to be fun. And I'm definitely looking forward to the first of many interviews, but what an awesome first one for us, for a guy that's going to have the WWE World Champion as his best man at his wedding. I hope for everyone's sake that he's still champion when that comes around, because Cody might be a little sad if he's not still holding that title when it's all said and done come May next year, but that's obviously another story for another time. So
the final boss interrupts. That'll be a problem. Can't wait.
If you get them both, well, fuck. That's awesome.
We cannot wait. All right, well, that'll do it for us. Again, follow us. Not just follow, but also subscribe to the YouTube for both our podcasts and LPV Productions. Follow us both, our social media platforms, the TikTok. Follow us at TikTok.
It is the TikTok. We're doing pretty well. We're excited.
Follow us there as well. Get all the clips. Get the full show out of YouTube. Get the clips on YouTube and on TikTok. So there we go. All right, that'll do it.
Are we not gonna? So we're gonna end like normal people today. We're not gonna have like a sly comment about Pete's family or.
I have
Anything
no
else?
comment about his family. That was you
That was
wanted to get after his family.
top 3 outro ever. By the way, that was fantastic. Just my opinion. Take it for what it is. But if you want to go watch,
We had an in-depth conversation about the Benoit family. I don't want to dive into any other families.
I don't want to dive into other families because it's not polite. I would just dive into people. That's AEW's job. Diving into random people.
Well, at least they're over, though.
Yeah, the people that are diving are over the people that are
Do
diving.
you really take Tylenol after watching AEW clips?
Oh my god, every time. Every time.
That's bad. That's not good.
Well, I don't watch them very often, so when I am forced to, it's always good to have time. It's actually in my car, so I never know if you're going to trick me and make me watch something AEW related, so I'm usually ready.
We'll leave you with this. We taped the show. You think the Cavs won?
I don't give a shit. They won a series.
Also, the Browns schedule came out last night.
Yeah.
Rebecca wants to go to a game on December 15th. I have no idea who the Browns are playing on December 15th.
The Chiefs. Sorry, I thought I would just spoil that.
Really?
Did you really not know? Why the fuck would you think she want to go to a game for? She loves Taylor Swift.
Maybe
She
the
wants to see Taylor.
Steelers.
Nope.
Your best hope is that Taylor and Travis are broken up by then, so she doesn't want to go to the game anymore. Oh, fine, I'll go to the Steeler game. Cool.
December.
It's gonna be cold as shit.
Get that.
Can we do December of like 2030 when the dome is finished in Brook Park?
Why would Taylor? Taylor ain't showing up. She was in. Taylor's a loyal one. She went to a game at Lambeau Field
In January.
in January.
She'll come to Cleveland in December.
She ain't coming to Cleveland.
It ain't that cold.
She didn't even do her concert in Cleveland. She ain't going to a.
There was nowhere to
game
do
in
a
Cleveland.
concert in Cleveland. The Cleveland Brown Stadium was booked.
We'll see you guys next week. Again, tune in for our interview next week. We're very excited about it.
It's gonna
See
be
you guys
fun.
then.
Yep. See you guys. Don't cut your donuts in half.
And if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
Who does that? Who slices like that? Stupid idiot.
They're samurai.
Put a cream
Yeah.
cheese on the donut. You would have picked it up, dude.
Oh, look. A bagel.
Bagel. You want
Something
to put,
hearty?
like, sausage on a donut?
Fucking sausage, egg, and cheese
You
bagel.
understand how many calories you consume?
But how
Thinking
many?
That was just a bagel.
But how many did you cut off? With all the icing and the sprinkles?
Like here.
This is so stupid. We went.
All right, we're done.
We went
Bye-bye.
over.